intriguing. I always just thought haste was, well, haste, a simple lack of patience, maybe being impulsive. But you're saying there are profound, almost hidden drivers for why a seemingly confident person might rush.
Yes, precisely. Let's dig into these 6 deep reasons that our sources suggest can propel confident individuals into hasty actions.
Okay, lay them on us. What's the first one?
The first reason is quite psychological. It's escape from confronting the shadow self. Al-Harub min muwajahat til atat.
The shadow self, like the parts of ourselves that we don't like or acknowledge.
Exactly. Our sources suggest that sometimes excessive confidence can actually be a sophisticated mask. It hides a deep-seated fear. Maybe a fear of failure, or a fear of appearing ignorant, or even just appearing indecisive in front of others or even to themselves.
So the quick decision isn't really about true conviction or being efficient. It's more about avoiding a moment of vulnerability or perceived weakness, almost like a psychological escape route.
Precisely. Haste, in this context, becomes a powerful defensive mechanism. It's a way to avoid diving into that uncomfortable zone of uncertainty where this shadow, those undesirable, unacknowledged aspects like incompetence, inadequacy, doubt, might actually surface.
And the quick decision helps avoid that.
Yes. A quick decision, even if it's maybe not the best one, grants a temporary feeling of control and power. Crucially, it allows the individual to bypass the possibility of error or indecision that might reveal their underlying perceived weakness, even just to themselves. It's a rapid, almost unconscious maneuver to maintain that self-image of unwavering competence and strength.
So if you consistently find yourself making quick calls just to get it over with, rather than really sitting with the complexity, you might actually be bypassing the very wisdom that needs time to emerge, driven by an unconscious fear of what might surface if you just paused.
That's exactly the dynamic described.
That's incredibly relatable. I think we all know that uncomfortable feeling of not knowing, right? And that almost irresistible urge to quickly resolve it, to just have an answer, even if that answer is premature or hasn't been fully thought through.
It's a strong pull.
It's like trying to project certainty outwardly to avoid feeling that internal discomfort. But
Sure.
as you say, at what cost?
Yes, what's lost in that rush? Okay, the second reason is also subtle. It's confusing true intuition with ego-driven intuition. Aqlit bain al-hadz al-haqiqi wal ilham al-anani.
Okay, intuition. So there are different kinds.
Our sources draw a very clear distinction. They say true intuition, hadz al-haqiqi, stems from a place of deep clarity of insight, a genuine connection to a deeper consciousness. It's described as calm, clear, unpressured, and it often provides a kind of holistic understanding.
So like a genuine aha moment, that quiet, profound knowing that just feels right without needing a ton of external validation.
Exactly, a calm certainty. However, what the hasty, confident person might mistake for that true intuition could actually be something quite different.
Like what?
Well, it might simply be a strong desire of the ego, Alana, wanting to assert itself to prove how clever or decisive it is. Or it could be a cognitive bias, a mental shortcut that feels like intuition, but is really just a ingrained pattern of thinking based on limited information.
Or maybe wishful thinking.
Or wishful thinking, absolutely. Or, crucially, it might be an unconscious projection of past experiences that aren't really applicable now. Maybe a quick decision worked out great once, and the ego is demanding, do it again, quick, irrespective of the current different context.
Okay.
And this ego-driven inspiration, as the source calls it, it's often accompanied by a sense of urgency, a feeling of pressure, a strong, almost compulsive push to act now. It feels less like a calm invitation to consider, and more like, well, a rush of adrenaline rather than serene knowing.
That distinction is vital, isn't it? Being able to tell the difference between a gut feeling that calmly guides you versus one that sort of pushes or demands or even bullies you into a decision.
It's a critical discernment skill.
It explains why some seemingly confident decisions end up feeling rushed and ultimately misguided because they were driven by that internal pressure or ego, not by deep insight.
Indeed. Which leads nicely into the third profound reason, loss of conscious containment. Fadan al-Quda ala alitawa awai.
Conscious containment, what does that mean?
Wisdom, as our sources define it here, requires a fundamental ability. The ability to consciously contain contradictions, to sit patiently with ambiguity, to truly consider and integrate different, even conflicting viewpoints and just allow space for them until genuine clarity naturally emerges over time.
So it's about holding complexity, holding multiple possibilities or pieces of information in your mind without feeling that urgent need to immediately sort them out, resolve them, or pick one.
Exactly. It's a kind of mental and emotional spaciousness that allows potential solutions to sort of marinate,
Hmm.
to develop fully.
Okay. And the hasty person lacks this.
The hasty, confident person may severely lack this capacity to contain. They feel an intense need to rush, to close the file quickly, as the source puts it, even if the solution they grab is premature or superficial or fundamentally immature.
Why? Why the rush to close the file?
Because they cannot tolerate the discomfort of what the source calls productive waiting. They equate uncertainty with weakness or inefficiency. So they accelerate to an answer, almost any answer, simply to alleviate that internal tension of not knowing, of things being unresolved.
Then that leads to...
Inevitably, it leads to superficial, often incomplete solutions. They miss the depth and the nuance that true patience, that conscious containment, allows to surface. Think about how often maybe we jump to conclusions in a tricky situation just to ease that tension of not knowing the answer right away. That urge to quickly resolve it and move on. Right. Even if it means glossing over critical details or complexities, that can be a sign of this lost containment.
I think we've all felt that discomfort, haven't we? Sitting with uncertainty, it's a very human urge to want to fix things immediately. But this really highlights that maybe some solutions need time to fully form, like fruit ripening on a branch. If you pick it too soon, it just won't taste right or won't be as nourishing as it could have been.
That's a beautiful analogy, yes. Some things need their time.
Okay, what's number 4?
The fourth reason is unconscious reenactment of past successes. Esse alawai liadat tamthil najahat madia.
Reenacting past successes, like trying to repeat history.
Kind of. This refers to a person being sort of stuck in what our sources call their past glory. Maybe there was a time when they made quick, decisive, sound decisions that led to remarkable success. And they cling to that formula, believing it's universally applicable.
Ah, the classic "that's how we've always done it" trap, but applied to a person's own decision-making style.
Exactly. Or, this worked for me before, so it must work now.
Right, like a musician trying to play the same hit song over and over, even when the audience or the situation clearly wants something new.
Precisely. Unconsciously, they keep trying to repeat that exact same scenario, that same rapid decision-making pattern, regardless of the current situation. They ignore the crucial fact that contexts change, circumstances evolve. And what worked yesterday might only not work today, but could actually be detrimental. Confidence here transforms from being a helpful guide into a rigid, inflexible pattern that blinds them to new realities.
So their past wins become a cage.
In a way, yes. Instead of being a source of learning and adaptability, their past triumphs become a cage, limiting their perspective and forcing them into potentially outdated solutions. This often shows up as an inability to pivot or to truly innovate, because they're constantly trying to fit new, different problems into their old, successful solutions.
That's powerful. It's like trying to play yesterday's game using today's rules, or maybe even yesterday's rules on a completely different game board. It really challenges the idea that a successful past automatically guarantees future success without constant adaptation and critical reevaluation.
Absolutely. True confidence often lies in flexibility, not rigidity.
Okay, 2 more reasons for haste. What's the 5th?
The 5th is weak connection to silent inner wisdom. Daf alitasal bil hikmah adakalia asamita.
Silent inner wisdom. Okay.
Our sources state that within every single human being, there resides this hidden, often very subtle voice of wisdom. This isn't just logical reasoning or quick thinking. It's a deeper, intuitive knowing. But the key is, this wisdom requires stillness, quiet reflection, a deep capacity for listening to actually manifest. It rarely shouts.
So if you're always on the go, always thinking, analyzing, filling your mind with noise and activity, you might actually be deafening yourself to something really profound within you, something that needs quiet space to emerge.
That's precisely the idea. The confident person who relies maybe excessively on their apparent analytical mind, their quick wit, their rapid problem-solving skills, they might inadvertently, without meaning to, deafen themselves to this deep inner voice.
Because it needs time.
It needs time to emerge, to unfold its insights, to provide guidance that often transcends mere logic or the immediately available data. And because they bypass this essential quiet phase, they get led into impulsive decisions based purely on what's superficial, readily available, and quick, rather than what is deeply wise or intuitively correct.
They value speed over depth.
Often, yes. Mistaking mental agility for true wisdom. Do you ever feel that compulsive need to fill every silence? Or rush immediately from one task to the next without any pause for reflection?
Guilty is charged sometimes.
That constant external focus, that relentless doing, can inadvertently drown out the very inner guidance we need most, especially for complex decisions.
That really emphasizes the importance of quiet reflection versus just constant action. In our crazy, busy, always-on world, taking time to just be and listen seems more crucial than ever. It's about actively nurturing that inner landscape, allowing it space to speak.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, and the final reason, number 6.
And finally, the sixth reason our sources give for haste is a reductionist view of life and opportunities. An-Nazra al-Iktizaliya lil-Haya wal-Furas.
Reductionist view, like oversimplifying things.
Yes, and specifically seeing life as this frantic competitive race and viewing opportunities as incredibly rare, fleeting birds that you have to seize at lightning speed before they vanish forever.
Oh, the scarcity mindset again. That overwhelming fear of missing the train, right? Where every potential decision feels like this frantic dash because you believe deep down there won't be another chance.
Exactly that. This reductionist view makes people live in this constant state of underlying urgency and anxiety, fearing that if they don't act immediately, they'll lose out on their one and only chance.
But the sources argue against that.
Yes, strongly. Our sources present a counter-reality. The universe is, in fact, full of opportunities, far more abundant than this scarcity mindset allows one to even perceive. Furthermore, they emphasize that what is truly destined for you, your al-Rizq al-Maktub, your written provision will come to you, even if you act with what might seem like slowness or weakness, provided your inner state is properly aligned.
So patience isn't necessarily passive.
Not at all. The core insight here is that deliberation, patience, developing a more nuanced, trusting view of life, these might actually open better, unforeseen doors that would have been completely missed in the frantic rush to grab the first, most obvious thing. It's a fundamental challenge to that scarcity mentality that drives so much modern behavior.
Do you constantly feel that low-grade anxiety about missing out?
Yeah.
FOMO, right.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out, whether it's on a promotion or a relationship or an investment. Does that push you sometimes to make rash moves?
Common pressure.
This perspective suggests that pressure often stems from a fundamentally limited view of life's true abundance and possibilities.
That's a profound challenge, isn't it? To how many of us have been conditioned to think about success and opportunity? It suggests that sometimes consciously slowing down and trusting the flow can reveal pathways we didn't even know existed.
Rather than just scrambling for the most obvious or immediate path, it's about recognizing that true abundance isn't just about what you chase, but perhaps also about what you allow to unfold. Okay. We've really delved deep now into these surprising, often hidden internal blockages to our provision, our risk. And then we explored the equally profound, hidden reasons for haste, especially in people who seem confident. So, the big question now is, what does this all mean? Is there a fundamental thread connecting these two areas, these struggles with receiving and these tendencies to rush?
That is the crucial question. And what's truly fascinating here, what the source material points to as the profound shared essence underlying both the deep obstacles to al-Rizq and the hastiness of the overconfident person, is a fundamental degree of disconnection from the center, al-Markaz.
The center. That's a powerful image. What does that really imply? What is the center in this context?
Well, it seems to manifest in two primary forms of disconnection, both leading to similar kinds of unhelpful outcomes. The first form is a disconnection from the true source of power, which, as we mentioned, our sources refer to as Allah, or the divine.
Okay. Disconnection from the source.
Yes. This leads to an individual believing, deep down, that their power, their capabilities, their very provision are entirely self-derived. It cultivates that state we talked about earlier, self-sufficiency, istigna, rather than genuine reliance and trust, tawakkul.
It's that I did this all myself belief again.
Exactly. And that belief then fuels either a desperate, anxious scramble for provision because you feel solely responsible for creating everything from scratch, or it fuels an unnecessary, often counterproductive haste in trying to force outcomes, trying to control everything, rather than trusting a greater flow or wisdom. You basically become the sole engine trying to power everything, rather than, say, a well-guided vessel moving with the current.
So it's losing sight of the ultimate source of everything and placing all the burden, all the responsibility solely on your own shoulders. That sounds incredibly heavy and, frankly, exhausting.
It is. It's an exhausting way to live. Now, the second form of disconnection from the center is disconnection from inner wisdom, what the sources call al-Basira wal qalb, insight and the heart.
The internal center.
Yes. When this connection is weak, individuals rely almost exclusively on their superficial analytical mind, their surface thoughts, and their ego.
Whoa.
which, as we just discussed, can often be driven by fear, by old patterns, by scarcity thinking.
Right.
And this reliance on just the surface-level thought processes leads directly to that impulsive and hasty decision-making. They're essentially cut off from that calm, deeper knowing, that silent wisdom we talked about, which pushes them to act on immediate impulse or a shallow assessment rather than waiting for patient, profound understanding to emerge.
Okay, so whether it's struggles with provision feeling blocked up or it's rushing decisions that later turn out to be misguided, the core issue, you're saying, is losing touch. Losing touch with either the ultimate divine source of things or with one's own inner, quiet wisdom that resides beyond the noise of the ego.
That seems to be the core diagnosis, yes. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, both of these forms of disconnection, whether it's from the true source of power or from your own inner wisdom, they ultimately stem from a foundational state of lack of surrender. Adamo et Taslim.
Lack of surrender, explain that.
It's a lack of surrender, firstly, to the provider in his provision. A refusal to fully trust that our risk will come in its own time, in its own way, or that other doors and possibilities truly exist beyond the one you're fixated on.
Okay, and the second part.
And it's also a lack of surrender to the necessity of deliberation, of patience, of quiet listening when it comes to making decisions, insisting on immediate action or a quick resolution rather than allowing wisdom the time and space it needs to unfold.
That analogy you mentioned earlier about a compass losing its connection to magnetic north, it suddenly makes perfect sense now. If your inner compass is disconnected from its true north, whether that north is divine guidance or deep inner knowing, then all your directions get distorted. Whether you're trying to navigate your finances or make a critical life choice, you might still be moving, maybe even moving fast, but you're not necessarily moving with precision or true purpose.
Exactly. The direction is off.
This is a truly unifying concept, isn't it? For all those individual blockages and reasons for haste we've discussed, it all comes back to this connection, or lack thereof, to the center.
Wow.
This understanding of disconnection from the center really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It's quite profound. So if that's the core issue underpinning so many of these common struggles, then the path forward, al-ilaj, as our sources call it, the cure, the solution, it must be about finding our way back to that center, right?
Exactly. That's the essence of the solution presented. It's framed as a profound, active journey back to this center. And it's important to note, it's not presented as a quick fix or some simple technique you do once.
Right. It's a process.
A multifaceted approach, a continuous process of consciously aligning your inner world with a deeper reality. The first aspect mentioned is self-purification, tazkiyat an-nafs.
Self-purification, what does that involve?
It involves actively cleansing the inner self, the nafs, of those negative states we've spent time identifying. Things like the heedlessness, the doubt, the inner arrogance, those pathological attachments, the pessimism, and those ego-driven impulses that fuel the haste.
So consciously working on removing the internal clutter.
Precisely. Removing the clutter that obscures your connection to your true self and to the ultimate source of provision and wisdom. This might involve deep introspection, honestly acknowledging past errors or imbalances, maybe deliberately practicing forgiveness for yourself as much as for others.
So it's about actively working on those inner blockages we discussed in the first two parts. A conscious effort to clear out the energetic and spiritual landscape inside us, essentially making ourselves a clearer channel for good things to flow.
That's a great way to put it, becoming a clearer channel. And working hand in hand with that purification is deepening awareness, tamik al-way.
Deepening awareness? How so?
This means cultivating a more profound understanding of how the universe truly operates, recognizing the ultimate source behind everything, understanding our own place within that grand design. It's about moving beyond just superficial perceptions and gaining a richer, more nuanced view of reality.
Seeing the interconnectedness.
Yes, seeing the interconnectedness of all things, and maybe learning to recognize the subtle blessings that are present even within challenging times. This could involve things like studying wisdom traditions, spending quiet time in nature, or simply observing the world around you with a more contemplative, less judgmental eye.
That sounds like a continuous learning process, not just intellectual learning, but experiential too. Constantly seeking to understand more deeply the fabric of existence itself. It's like a commitment to seeing beyond the immediate surface of things.
Precisely. It's an ongoing deepening. Then the third component is refining insight. Sak al-basera.
Refining insight. Basera. Is that like sharpening intuition?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
It's about sharpening our inner vision, our intuition, that deep inner voice we talked about, the one that needs stillness to be heard properly. It involves actively engaging in practices that cultivate that stillness, practices that allow for that conscious containment of ambiguity we discussed, and practices that help us learn to distinguish true, calm intuition from those ego-driven impulses that often come with urgency and pressure.
So making our internal listening clearer, more sensitive, more reliable.
Exactly, allowing that deep wisdom to become a more trusted guide for our choices. This might mean dedicating regular time to silent reflection or meditation, or simply making a conscious habit of pausing before making important decisions, creating that space for productive waiting.
So it's like developing a more sensitive and accurate internal guidance system, recalibrating that inner compass we spoke of, so it consistently points true north, rather than being easily swayed by all the external noise or internal pressures.
A very apt analogy. And finally, perhaps most crucially, the sources emphasize constant connection. Al-Ittizal ad-Da'im, connection with the source of absolute wisdom and power.
Constant connection. That sounds like more than just a practice, like a state of being.
That seems to be the implication, a continuous, conscious link, a state of being rather than just an occasional act you perform. It means living your life in a way that consistently acknowledges and tries to align with that center, understanding yourself as part of a larger, intelligent, benevolent design.
How might that look practically?
Well, for some people, this might mean daily prayer or specific spiritual practices. For others, it could manifest as cultivating mindfulness in every action, trying to see the sacred even in mundane daily tasks. It's fundamentally about cultivating a felt sense of presence and connection throughout your entire day, not just in special moments.
It really sounds like a complete transformation of one's inner and outer life, moving from a place of feeling isolated and struggling to one of it maybe empowered flow. What kind of outcomes can someone listening really expect if they embark on this kind of profound journey of reconnection?
The outcomes described in our sources are genuinely transformative. When you actively work to reconnect to this center, through that self-purification, deepening awareness, refining your insight, and maintaining that constant connection, firstly, provision, risk, is said to begin flowing with much greater ease.
The blockages loosen.
Yes, the constrictions loosen. Opportunities start to appear, often from those unexpected avenues, precisely because you are no longer internally blocked by those states of heedlessness or doubt or unhealthy attachment. And importantly, it's often not just about getting more stuff. It's about experiencing that feeling of effortless flow and genuine baraka, that quality, that satisfaction in whatever you do receive.
So less struggle, more flow, and a deeper sense of contentment with what arrives. That sounds pretty good.
Doesn't it? Secondly, decisions start to be made more thoughtfully, with genuine insight, rather than out of haste or superficiality. You gain that capacity for productive waiting, and you become better able to discern between true, calm guidance and those urgent, egoistic urges. Your choices naturally become more aligned with deeper wisdom, leading to outcomes that aren't just expedient in the short term, but truly beneficial and harmonious in the long run.
And the third outcome, you mentioned confidence transforming.
Yes, and this is beautiful. Self-confidence itself transforms. Instead of being that potentially destructive fire that can burn its possessor through arrogance or rashness, it becomes a guiding light. It still empowers you to act with clarity and purpose, absolutely, but it's now rooted in humility, in wisdom, and in a profound connection to something greater than yourself. This makes your confidence truly beneficial for yourself and often for those around you too.
That's a really powerful vision, and it feels incredibly practical, actually, despite its deep philosophical roots. So for our listeners tuning in, how can we realistically begin this journey of reconnection in our daily lives? It sounds like it's probably not about making grand gestures or trying to overhaul everything overnight.
Definitely not overnight.
But maybe starting with small, consistent shifts in our internal perspective and maybe our daily practices.
Absolutely. It really starts with awareness, which is hopefully what we've aimed to cultivate a bit today. Maybe begin by just gently reflecting. Which of these blockages to provision, or which of these reasons for haste, resonate most strongly with you right now? Is there perhaps a subtle hint of that heedlessness you now recognize? Or an underlying anxiety about provision that feels familiar? Do you sometimes find yourself rushing decisions because of an unacknowledged fear of inadequacy? Or maybe an unconscious attempt to reenact some past glory?
So the first step is just honest observation.
Yes. Gently observe these patterns within yourself, without judgment, just honest self-inquiry. Then, perhaps, you could dedicate just a few moments each day to quiet reflection. Or maybe intentionally try connecting with a feeling of gratitude, even for small things. Or simply practice pausing consciously before making a decision, allowing for that productive waiting we talked about, just giving your inner wisdom a chance to whisper before you leap.
It's a continuous, gentle return to the center.
Exactly. One conscious choice, one mindful pause at a time.
What an incredibly deep dive we've had today. We've taken a really close look at those profound, often quite hidden, internal blockages that can subtly stand in the way of our provision, our all risk. And then we explored the equally surprising, deep-seated reasons behind haste, especially when it appears in people who seem outwardly confident.
And we've seen, haven't we, that at their very core, these seemingly separate challenges actually share a common, profound root, a fundamental disconnection from the center. Whether we understand that center as the true source of all power and provision, or as our own innate inner wisdom.
And that disconnection fundamentally seems to boil down to a deep-seated lack of surrender, a lack of trust.
That seems to be the essence of it.
It's such a powerful reminder that our inner states, our thoughts, our feelings, our core beliefs, they aren't just passive reflections of our outer circumstances. In many ways, they might be the very architects of those circumstances.
That's a key insight from these sources, yes.
And the path forward, while it's definitely a journey, not a quick fix, is one of that self-purification, deepening our awareness, refining our inner insight, and consciously fostering a constant connection back to that center.
As the wisdom traditions we've drawn from today so beautifully put it, reflect on these meanings, for in reflection are the keys to understanding.
We truly encourage you, our listener, to take some time to just mull over what we've discussed today. Maybe consider which of these deep-seated blockages or which drivers of haste might be subtly at play in your own life, perhaps in ways you hadn't quite seen before this conversation.
A gentle inquiry.
And then maybe think about how a journey back towards your own inner center, perhaps through a little more reflection, a bit more patience, a renewed sense of connection, how that could truly transform your experience. Your experience of both provision flowing into your life and the way you make important decisions. Perhaps the most effective action isn't always doing more, but sometimes simply being more present, more connected, and allowing the universe or the divine to work with you, rather than feeling you have to control every single aspect of your journey all by yourself.